I'm Angelique and welcome to Pottery Box. I'm going to be doing some videos to show you the love of clay that I have but at home, so you don't have to go to a studio. So I'm going to be using a mixture of air hardening clay and oven baked clays. They're pretty similar in how you use them, but I'm also going to be doing a couple of videos on the differences of if you use salt dough or the PVA dough that you can make at home and how you can make those work for you just as well. Right, let's run through some tools to start with. I did say I wanted you to just be able to make stuff at home. So if you don't have to buy clay tools, then you don't want to. So I'm going to do everything with just things I can find at home, like paintbrushes, the end of pencils. You can either use, you need a pointy bit, that's quite important for doing eyes and different things. So if you haven't got a pointy bit or a pencil, you can also use like a toothpick like that, or a kebab skewer, and then I'm using the end of a paintbrush in one of these, but you could use like the end of a wooden spoon out of the kitchen. And you'll need some sponges, some water in a cup, and some goop, which I will show you how to make in a minute, okay, because that will need to be soaked down for a couple of hours. It's a lot easier to use before you start. Okay, I'll show you that in a sec, but what we're going to be making is these little guys here, okay? So we're going to start off with him because I'm going to show you how to make it the easiest way possible, and then we're going to go on to the whale. He's got a little spout that comes out, so I'm going to show you how to make him with a thumb pot, and then when I get to the island on the third session, he's going to be how you make a coil pot, and then we're going to get a bit more technical. So each one we're going to go up in technicalities. Okay, so we're going to start with, I think he's a Stanley, don't you? We're going to start with Stanley here. I will bring him out, and he's got himself a little beach ball to play with. If you had that many legs, you would play with a beach ball, wouldn't you? It would be good. So, clay. As I say, I'm using air hardening clay. I like to break a bit off the bag that I got. Make sure if you buy it, you can buy it from online and various different places. I always like to put it into like a sandwich bag or a freezer bag or an old carrier bag. Got to keep it airtight. So once you've took it off the big bag, put that in a bag and make sure it's tight. If it dries out, you can soak it down, but really you want to be keeping this clay dry, keeping it wet as much as possible. So I'm going to start with a ball like that, put that one in the bag while I'm not using it, and then we're going to pat this piece of clay out. Can you see I'm just patting it in my hands like that? I hope you do it that way. I'm left-handed with a lot of these things, but I will be showing you how you do it the other way, just to help you. So once you've got it into a shape like that, we're going to twist like that. Now the reason we twist like that is because if you were to pull it, you get long thin bits, and then you've got to fold over the thin bits. So it's usually better to just twist, make balls, stretch them out like we just have, and twist. So the piece I'm not using, I'm going to put back in the bag. Now I'm looking at the size of Stanley here, and I'm thinking I might pull a little bit more, so I could roll it in my hands if I wanted to. Twist a little bit off, and now I've got about the right size, maybe a bit less, because he's going to be hollow. We'll show you in a minute. Let's start with that size. So I've pulled two pieces off. I'll then squish those together and put them back in the bag, fold the bag up and put him that way. Right, so let's make a ball out of him. And that's ready to use now. Now I'm going to then go on to how to make this goopy stuff. I call it goop, but it's really like PVA for clay. It sticks everything on when you want to make goggly eyes and you don't want to blend them all on, then this will help it stick. Now all this really is bits of clay. I have to get the bag of clay out again. Bits of clay that you rip off into sections like this. Can you see I'm just breaking little bits off? You'll be able to see the fibre in the clay now. And that's the only difference between air hardening clay and clay that you see in potteries, is it's got bits of fibre, which is like a material, cotton or something. And that holds it all together when it's dry. So I'll break a bit off like that. Hold that up and put it away. And then I'm going to get a little bit of water, and I'm just going to tip the water in so it's about like that. Okay, And then I'm going to mush him around a little bit and poke him about. And then the easiest way to do that is to leave it overnight. But if you're in a rush and you can't wait, then give it a real good stir around till it goos up. I'm very impatient, so I wouldn't blame you. And then this is what I made earlier. Okay? So now we're going to go on to making the body. Right, let's make the body. So we've got a nice ball shape. Now, the easiest way to make a body is you're thinking that, well, just leave it there, it's solid. That won't quite work. You'll be waiting weeks for that to dry, and you can't paint it until it's completely dry or your paint will peel off, okay? So what we're going to do is get a big fat rounded edge. Let's say we could use a wooden spoon, or I've got this one because I'm in the studio. And I'm going to poke that in, and I'm going to do round circular movements like that. Can you see that? And then if I get a lip like that, I just pat him on the table. Now, if it's easier for you to work out what I'm doing, I will swap hands. So we're just doing that. Can you see that? Now when you've got a hole like that there, that should be enough. It will help him dry out a lot. So that's that bit done. So now we've got the body. Now is a good time to show you about if you get little cracks, if your hands start, if you've got hot hands, some people have hot hands, then we need to keep our hands damp. Now it's not a good idea to get a wet sponge and wipe the cracks like this, especially if it's dripping, because next thing you know, you've got a gooey mess that you can't work with, okay? So just wring the sponge out and then you'll have a wet hand. Now rub that into your hand like this, and then you can smooth him off. You see how that works? So little cracks like that would be good. Now, next step is to make his eyes. So I'm going to get some of the clay out of the bag, fold it back up, and those are the two bits I've squashed together. So we're just going to pat that together, give it a little bit of a roll, compact them all up, and then I want to twist off enough for eyes, which is probably about that. Make another ball, roll him out, and then twist it. Now I've got two balls for eyes. So the reason we're doing the balls again is if I was to make a ball that wasn't straight, let's say like a shape that wasn't straight, even like this, then I'm trying really hard to make a shape and I've folded it over and it's all gone a bit wrong, doesn't look so good. If I make it into a ball first, one, I can tell that both eyes are going to be the same size by the fact that both balls are the same size. Two, then when I squish it out with my thumb like that, I have a lovely round edge. So I might want to wet my finger a little bit there, rub it in, and just smooth the edges out before I stick those eyes on. You might want to make sure that things don't get stuck on the table when you're doing that. So that's just a slightly damp finger. Now I've got two lovely eyes, big goggly eyes to stick on. There we go. Just smoothing around the edges. It's easier to do it before you stick them on. So you might want to put your eyes apart, or you might want to put them close together like that. Now I've made these eyes slightly different because I want to show, just by making them different, how slightly bigger, it's a completely different character. So now we're going to stick these eyes on. So if you were to stick them there, they look like they stick, but trust me, when this dries, like tomorrow, you'll find these have fallen off on the side because it's just the water that's holding them on at the moment. So what we're going to do, this is where this goopy stuff comes in. So we're going to take a sharp bit, whether it's a toothpick or even like one of those a cutlery knife, a safe knife, and we're just going to score like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, and score like that. And then we're going to work out where they were, and if we give them a little wiggle and take them off, you'll see they almost leave an outline of where they were. So then you can do that and rough that up. Now, take a flat end, a brush can get a bit goopy, and dab that on. Just so it's got a little bit on, like you would PVA. And then we're going to, you can just do the goop on one side if you want to. Work out where you want your eyes again. Give them a little wiggle. If some comes out the side, this is where we can use a brush. Make sure it's clear And I'm just smoothing that off just to get rid of the excess. Now that will stay on. Now, at this point again, if you find that it's gone a bit dry, I'm just going to dip my fingers in this time. And I'm going to smooth it off like that. So at this point, I'm just smoothing off any cracks again. And then we're there, look, with big eyes. Look how different he looks to Stanley there. So perhaps we'll call him Sid, I don't know. I like to name things that I make. So now I'm going to get, I think I'm going to use the end of a small paintbrush. So I'm going to do with this is I'm just putting it in and I'm circling it around like that. And then that gives him the pupils. So if you'd like to change the character so it's a bit more like yours, you might not want to have it like Stanley, then I'll show you a couple of examples. You could put eyelids on, or you could give it some eyelashes like that, or let's say we want to put a mouth in like this, or you might think, oh, don't like that, so just dab my finger, rub it, go round in a circular motion, and that is the beauty of clay. Look, it's just wiped straight back out. Or I might decide I want to do a mouth like, I might just twist a little bit off here, make a little ball again, roll it out. You probably see it better here. And then I'm going to pinch one bit off and two bits off. So if I put them together and pinch them, and then push them together, and then push them the other way, and I've got a little mouth. You can spend more time on it. You see that? And we'll just smooth that bit out there. And that's like the start of a little mouth. So you'd have to score that and slip it on like we did the eyes, if you remember, with the gooey stuff. So I'm going to leave him without. I'm just going to give him a little smiley face like that. Then we're going to think about the legs. So I'm going to get our ball, and my hands are a little bit dry, so I'm going to do that bit where I either dab it or squeeze the sponge and wet my hands like that. Right, so we're going to get our ball, and we're going to first of all roll it like that. And it's usually a good idea to make sure you haven't got any little bits on the table as well, whatever you're making, because then they roll in to the wet clay. So I'm going to roll it like that a little bit, or you can also squeeze it out like this, so it's easier to roll. And we're going to just either do the tips of your fingers like that, or I find it quite nice to roll on the big bit. I've just jolted that on purpose, so you can use it to go dun 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 dun, because it's gone square. If that happens, just do that and roll a bit more. And then if it happens again, do it again. So you can roll like that, and we can roll out to about that thickness. Twist doesn't have to be exact right now. If you notice me humming, it's because I hum a lot when I work. Right, so don't worry about little creases like this here. We can always fold those back in just by blending them down. Now, what I might do is just move him out of the way so you can see a bit better. There we go. Right, so I'm going to twist that, get to about that length. If it's not round, do that. And then I'm going to roll again. And about that sort of thickness is good at the end there, do you see? I'm going to twist it off, and we want about that length, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep rolling that bit, and then I'll bring that bit in, obviously. So I use the bits, and then I can grab some more. I'm not going to roll all of them because you don't want to sit there and watch me roll them all. So I've made some earlier. As you can see, I've literally just measured it up and tore it off. And of course we need 8 because it's an octopus. So if I show you one on how we do one, and then you can make your own. And then what I'm doing is rolling just that one end. Can you see that? It just, by just rolling one end, it just makes that end thin so it looks like an octopus leg. And we can bend them into shape once we've stuck all 8 on. But first of all, what we want to do is you can either leave them like this, or you could flatten them out. You know, an octopus flatten out part of their tentacles, so that's an option as well. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the little tentacles, the little suckers, should we say. So I am just going to do that, and then what I'm doing is putting a straw, normal drinking straw, but you can use like a end of a pen or anything that's like this sort of shape, and I'm just putting little turns, and I'm just turning it in my fingers like this. And then I'm going to get a skewer, but again you could use the end of a pencil or something sharp. I want the sharp end, and I am just going to make a little hole like that, and then make a little hole like that. If I do that all the way down, as you can see, I'd have little tentacles. Now there are two ways to join these. I'm just going to make the end of another one to show you. Oh, and if you squash it like that, you can just smooth them out and roll them again. Now you'll want to do 8 one side and 8 the other. It's best to have a gap at the front and the back if you want him to look a bit realistic. Now there are two ways that you want to join them on. If you look at Stanley here, he's got some that are joined on underneath and some that are joined on at the top to give him a bit more flow. So what I'm going to do is show you those two ways. So with this one, I'm going to literally just bang him on the table. If he folds over, you can just blend in like that and make that end a bit fatter, like so, and then give it a little wiggle on the table again. And then what we've done is we've given ourselves a flat edge and made his tentacle look a bit bulkier at the top. So this one I'm going to stick on like that here. I'll show you in a second. And then this one that I made with the suckers, obviously you'll want to put suckers on all of them. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to flatten that edge out. Okay, so that one will go underneath and that one will be stuck on there. So at this point, what I need to do is lean right over, and I'm going to score that a little bit and score that and get some glue. Give it a really, you want to join these on well, okay? And then find out whereabouts you've scored and give it a little press onto the body, okay? And then with this one here, I want to pick it up carefully. Now, it might be an idea at this point. You see how I've put this tentacle on and now I'm having to hold the tentacle? What might be a good idea is if you lift it up and you score all underneath, doesn't have to be precise, and like that, so it's going the opposite direction. We're just roughing up the clay so that it can have a little bit of a grip, like the bottom of a shoe, I suppose. And then I'm going to take a big lump of this. Whoop, not that much. That's another thing you should know about me. I'm messy. If you want to use your finger, it's easier. There we go. And I've just dabbed. I haven't smoothed, because if I smooth on, that's going to undo all the rough edge that you did. So if I smooth that on ready, and then I was to get all my legs where I wanted them, then I could squash those on and then put those on. Then once you've got all of your 8 legs in place, so they're all splayed out like that, then I'll show you what to do next. Right, so here's the 8 legs I made earlier, all with the little tentacles underneath. Now what I've done is I've lined them up underneath. Before I stuck them on, I've stuck him on already, if you remember. And I've scored them, and then I know where it is. So I've glued it, like we just said. And then I can literally sit him down on top of all those legs, give him a wiggle, and then they should all stick on. Let's have a look. If they don't, we'll just peel him. That's really good. Now at this point, it's a really good idea to put him onto a piece of card, like a cereal box cutout or something, just so when you move him, all his legs don't fall off until he's dry and we've moved him around. He's going to be pretty vulnerable and all his legs are going to droop. So the only two that are left is the other two I wanted to stick on the other way. So I will just do that quickly. I've already scored them. And I'll stick that one there, and because I've scored it just there. And I will stick this one at the back. I'm going to try not to move him too much at this point because I haven't got him on a piece of card. And then I've stuck that one on the back because I've scored that like we did a minute ago. Now, once you've got him in place, he's on a piece of card, then you can have a play around at where you want those tentacles to go. Now, it's a lot easier, like Stanley here, if he's a lot closer to the tentacles are a lot closer to the body, because that's going to be a lot stronger for you, especially if air hardening clay. So we can like curl one up and just, that's resting on the body there. And then I might want to just curl this one. You can really have some fun with this while it's wet. And that one might want to come up here. And then I might want to curl that one that way. Right, and then I'm just going to maybe put this one, oh, he could be scratching his eye, couldn't he? And then curl around. The choice is yours. Here's your little character. So once that's done like that, then we're going to make the beach ball. So I'm just going to do what I've been doing before and then just do that. Twist a bit off. You can make this ball as small or as big as you like. Or you could make him a little rubber ducky or anything really. And I'm not saying that this clay dries hard enough for you to be able to play with them like dolls, but it is nice to be able to move your ornaments around and change the little scenes. So I'm just going to roll this in my hand like this, and what I'm doing is I'm cupping my hand. With clay work, it's always good to try and mimic the shape with your hand and support it when you're working. So I'm doing that, and then this is quite simply a straw on one end, work out where the other end is, do a straw through that end, and we did that twisty thing again. And then I'm going to, clean off tool, there we go. And then I'm just going to run round to the other one and then work out where the next one will go. So you want, like, you can either have 3 lines or you could have 6 lines going around if you wanted more colour on your ball. So can you see I've done a line like that and a line like that, and there you have it. So once you've made the ball, you might change your mind and you might want to make the octopus's tentacle like that, so you can just tuck your ball in like that. So there's your octopus. In the next videos I will be showing you how to make the whale and the treasure island with the little chest, and we've made a tiny little pineapple there. And then the whale's going to be on the next one, and he's got a little water squirter that you can put in or not, and his blowhole. If you like this video, if you would like to like it, and if you wanted to subscribe, and then if you wanted to see the other videos and you wanted to be notified, then click on notifications. Thank you, and thanks for watching. Bye.